America's Cup does end up becoming all-consuming. It's an obsession.
One of the great questions in life is, what is it about this competition that draws so many people in?
Winning the America's Cup, for me, is the holy grail.
It's everything a human being can dream of if you're a little bit ambitious in life.
You have serious skin in the game, day in and day out. You live and breathe this competition.
The America's Cup is my life.
It's unlike any sporting trophy in the world. It definitely haunts you, haunts you, haunts you.
What is obsession? What drives the most successful among us to strive for success, no matter the cost, to never rest until they've reached their goal? It can't be just their will to win. There has to be something more, something deeper that drives them, inch by inch, rep by rep, 1% by 1%, day after day after day. For the teams, the designers, their backers, the fans, this competition is their everything. Each has their own story, their own pressure, the expectant weight of a nation on their shoulders. But who will emerge victorious? Welcome to Barcelona, the battleground of the obsessed. This is the 37th America's Cup.
Hola from Barcelona and welcome to the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta, a 4-day affair that will whet your appetite for the big show, the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. From this point on, there will be 2 months of all-out sailing off the coast of the Catalan capital, the third time the trophy's been competed for in Spain, previously 2007 and 2010. Barcelona have been out numerous contenders to host the regatta, and since winning the bid, have embraced it fully. This is Barcelona. 6 teams are competing for a trophy first raced for in 1851 around the Isle of Wight, won by the New York Yacht Club, who held the trophy for 132 years. Australia, Switzerland and the defenders New Zealand are the only other countries to have won the America's Cup. So today we start with the preliminary regatta. 4 days of round-robin racing. Each team races one another once. 1 point for a win, nothing for a loss. On the final day, the top 2 scoring teams race off in a single match race. For all teams, an opportunity to take the pulse of the opposition. Racing proper begins August 29 and signals the return of the Louis Vuitton Cup, awarded to the winner of the Challenger Selection Series. There can be only one winner to face the Kiwis for the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. Whoever holds aloft this trophy will be the official challenger. And all the teams are set for racing. There's your defender, Emirates Team New Zealand. And then the official challenger record led by Serbian Ainsley, that's Ineos Britannia. Representing the New York Yacht Club, yes, you got it, Tom Slingsby and co, the man that'll sail Patriot. And they're back in the game, the French Orient Express Racing. They've won it before, they know how to do it, Alinghi Red Bull Racing. And the team that were in the last match of the 36th America's Cup, Rossa, Prada Pirelli. So who faces who on day number 1? Well, first up, it's Switzerland against France, the defender against Italy. It's 36th match all over again. The USA against Great Britain and Italy against France. They both get 2 bites of the cherry today. So what are the conditions going to be like for the teams today? Here's Shirley Robertson.
Stephen. There could not be a more iconic backdrop for AC37's racetrack. It doesn't just look good on the screen, it is within, well, throwing distance of the fan zone. Conditions on light southwesterly predicted to build throughout the race window to a near perfect 13 to 15 knots. And we've something brand new for you. With the help of Capgemini, we bring you White Windsight IQ, and we have made the invisible visible. In a world's first, we have a real-time wind field. Green more breeze, blue less, but we'll explain all of that later. But suffice to say, we've all become strategical geniuses. Because for this edition of the America's Cup, we're able to go further into the science. The simulator, using the live real wind map and highly advanced models of the AC75s, calculates every second. The physics reveal the best way to victory, and this would be the optimum route. It's a chance for us to get one step ahead of the best sailors on the planet.
Let's go racing. Race number 1, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing.
It is so good to have them back. 2 times winner of the Cup, Alinghi have partnered for this challenge with sporting giants Red Bull. And this new-look Swiss team is a promising mix of youthful confidence and the experience of a team that knows how to win. Driving is Arno Sarafagis and Max Bachelon, trimming Rolla and Metron, providing the horsepower. Their power unit is stacked with Swiss endurance sports royalty.
The America's Cup table in the 37th America's Cup battle is the French team of Orient Express Racing. The skilled driving team of both Ponton de la Pierre on the starboard side of the yacht and Kevin Pepinay on the port side will guide the boat around the racecourse. Foil trimmers Mathieu Van Dam and Jason Saunders round out the afterguard, and with a powerful cyclor team powering the hydraulic pumps on board, they will be the dark horse of this America's Cup.
So those are your 2 combatants, and you can see the men are sitting in the helming positions. Top right, it's quite simple. You've got Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Max Bachelon, Arno Sarafagis, and then the port helmers Kevin Pepinay and Ponton de la Pierre on the starboard helm for Orient Express Racing. All the pressure goes on these men, as well as the trimmers.
This is the race committee. The wind sampling period is complete, and this race is live.
So we have official recognition that we are good to go. Stephen McIver, 2-time gold medalist at the Olympics. Shirley Robertson, 3-time America's Cup winner. Glenn Ashby and Peter Lester on the water now. Chase Zero, which is our hydrogen boat, and there she goes. Alinghi Red Bull Racing. It's well known. They've had the mast snap 2 days ago. They're back in racing and looking strong.
Not far away from entry here in race number 1 of the preliminary series here. Getting ready to enter now, pre-start, all important part of the race here to get off the start line with an advantage over your opponent.
So they are way late coming in.
Ça va être pas mal pour le...
So 2 and add to 2 minutes of techniques is 2 minutes.
This is the umpires. Boundary penalty France. Boundary penalty France.
So the French really late there on entry. Massive advantage there already to Alinghi Red Bull Racing here in the pre-start, Shirley.
It's sometimes quite hard though, isn't it, when they're so behind, just to know what strategy to take. But they'll be concentrating on time and distance back, when to turn, if to chase the French, or just to let them go.
Ok, par là c'est pas mal, il fait un circling.
Bordin. Ouais. Fais-toi la bruit, fais pas un
J'ai.
C'est bon?
Ouais, c'est bon. Bah oui. J'ai un.
As you are timing now. 1 minute pin. I think it's good at the moment.
Yeah, the comms there on the kill time. 1 minute to the pin. French still in this, it's not over. There's such separation here. Alinghi will actually drive around, trying to get the advantage over the French here because there was such a separation. It has really changed the game of what they'll actually be trying to do in the pre-start. So pressure back on Alinghi now to make sure they execute well from here.
Si tu veux réactualiser
Let's remember, this is the first time that they've raced. This is a big deal and a big day.
Going down. 5 pins. Will they attack for us? or down.
Landing, vas-y.
Pin is open, then to the boat.
Okay, late pin.
Okay, going up.
No rush.
4. Almost ready.
30 seconds and counting to the official start of race 1 and the preliminary regatta brought to you by Louis Vuitton off the coast of Barcelona. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing.
Might have to win in some time.
Can we start anyway, no?
Yeah, we can start anyway. They are gaining time.
I have to say Alinghi Red Bull Racing here in a fairly strong position coming down there.
League 1.
French looking late to leave from here, should be quite a big advantage.
We are good to go. We are officially underway on the road to the 37th America's Cup. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing, first out of the gate.
It looks to me like Orient Express aren't really firing on all cylinders. Something's not quite right in the boat, and hopefully we'll hear from them soon.
Let's go into the water. Chase 0. Peter Lester, what did you make at the start? Everything okay with both boats, you think?
Yeah, I just think the French were late and probably they paid the price procedurally. It's so important to be very accurate and pre-start. But I just think the French probably had issues getting their time on distance right for that entry. But we've seen they've got good pace. They'll be trying to just claw back vital boat leads as they go up League 1.
And nice mode. Happy to stay. If they tag, bring it up. Publish race.
Pretty straightforward manoeuvre here for Alinghi, just hitting the French here, keeping in between them and the mark. It's a pretty straightforward match racer here from them. The French have really got not many options here apart from just trying to keep their air clean and actually keep in touch and try and claw back a little bit of ground by sailing the boat accurately from here.
In the last couple of days to see some practice racing. We did see a similar situation open up when the French took on the British. They will not let go. They may have started later, may cost them, they will not let go.
You're only one mistake away from a big gain or a big loss here, so with these slightly choppy conditions, the boats are a little bit tricky to sail, so both teams here will be pushing to sail the boats pretty hard and pretty high at the ride height, so as we see the French there attacking back towards Alinghi, should be another straightforward manoeuvre here. Manoeuvre for Alinghi, just basically making them pay their tax all the way up to speed with 30 each off the back of their sail plan.
And by attack.
Alinghi have been base here for the last 2 years. They have done more hours on the racetrack than any of the other teams, and we see them also really protecting that right-hand side. Pretty sure that that's the trend, that throughout the day the wind goes in that direction and more breeze towards the beach.
That's the beat average. Bit more here.
Leg of 6, up and down as 3 laps, they call it 6 legs, and we're heading towards the top mark for the first time. It makes a beautiful view.
Are you on
coast of Barcelona?
Patching, I think. Good. Packing, 2. Good. Packing. 1. All down. And turning.
Classic match racing move there, Shirley, from Alinghi Red Bull Racing. The guys look like they're sailing the boat really well, really accurately, and nice clear communications on board.
Tough nationality rules for AC37. I mean, your whole team needs to be from your country, so they really kind of had to start nearly afresh. Young guys, but they really put in the hours and the experience of a cup-winning team behind them.
Yeah, a lot of depth within their team, a lot of experienced campaigners over the years in multiple America's Cups. So while they're a young team on the board, they've certainly got a depth of talent behind them, and that balance of youth and enthusiasm and depth of talent is certainly key.
Heading into gate 1 for the first time will be Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
In 10.
Confident start for them as they head to that top gate.
5, 3, 2, 1, 10.
The one thing you will see and notice notice at the bottom, you'll see the speed. You watch those speeds rise when they head downwind. Followed through by Orient Express.
Well, we had 8 tacks on that first upwind, Stephen. Plenty of work for the cyclors and a real classic match racing move.
Yeah, only a deficit there of 12 seconds, behind for the French. So that's a little bit of a deficit, but again, only a couple of wobbles there, and you're back in the game again. So the race is definitely not over at this point in time. A lot of racing going in this race.
Let's go on to one of the chase boats. This is Pietro Sabello, who is the coach of Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Good afternoon to you, Pietro. Nice start.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, nice start. The plan was to have a solid race, solid start. We like the right side with more pressure, and yeah, for the moment the guys are following the plan, and the race looks solid.
The boys, Pedro, look like they're doing a really nice job, mate, of sailing the boat. So the coaching team have obviously done a great job. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Still long race. Let's see how it moves forward.
Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate the time.
Okay, we had crossing point. Jibe or jibe? I think we might get a right.
So the one thing we did warn you about was downwind, the speed would crank up, and as you can see, they're already sitting to 43, 44 knots downwind. We can let you into a little bit of a secret that when they get going, we have already cracked the 50-knot mark, and oh my gosh, that is so exciting.
Well, you look at 12.6 knots of wind, and they're doing 43, 41, 42 knots of boat speed. Pretty incredible to be doing over 3 times wind speed in these conditions.
If you were a fan of the America's Cup and you watched it in Auckland, I'm sure your draw is dropping here. I mean, what a transformation. They seem faster, more manoeuvrable. It just full on. What a change, Glenn.
Yeah, these Gen 3 boats are really a step up.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward gate, shortening the course to 1.85 nautical miles.
Just a little bit of information there from Ali Roberts from the race committee there, just a little course change. So Breeze has obviously changed a little bit there for the teams, and they'll all have that information displayed on their instrumentation, and that'll be changing the boundaries and the length of their routing for them. So some great racing here as they're coming downwind now.
How radical do you think Alinghi is? Look at her. She looks like a machine.
Very impressive at how aggressive they've taken this on in this America's Cup. They really, were new to the table, very much so in the design, and I think they've done a brilliant job with what they've done. So really exciting to see some differences between the boats, and who knows? They're a strong team. They could have nailed it on the head. It's really pleasing to see.
Yeah, they'd be fast on this run, taking nearly 100 metres from the French team.
So approaching the bottom gate for the first time, Alinghi Red Bull Racing with that around 200-metre gap on the French, and they go around. Watch them go around, both boards down and back up, and the Cantam comes up with them, off again, followed around by Orient Express Racing. Looks easy, can actually be quite difficult.
Difficult to turn these boats. You're basically trying to do a hairpin turn with 7 tons of inertial mass all trying to go in a straight line. So those foils really having to grip the water hard to turn those boats, and both teams doing a great job.
Yeah, let's look at the wind field. Green, more wind, blue, less. Obviously the sailors can't see this, they're just looking at the sea like normal, but it looks fantastic on the left-hand side at the bottom of the track. Alinghi tacking, they've obviously seen that also.
Well, we're the lucky ones, and the folks at home, wherever they're watching around the world, get to see technology that the sailors sadly do not get to see, and it's already stuck in my head. Green is good.
We're going to make a tactical genius of you yet, Steve.
It'll take a while.
So Orient Express Racing made up a second on that downwind from the top mark, so they're not dropping back. So they're actually, if they can keep their bow clear and sailing clean air, they might be able to chip away if they can load the boat well and sail it accurately and stay in touch. The race remains open.
Let's go to chase zero, Pete.
Yeah, both boats are coming across directly on starboard towards us. It's just interesting. The French are up to windward and are holding lane really nicely. Alinghi were strong immediately off the tack, probably when they got in that little fresher breeze, but I'd be thinking there that the French have made a nice little gain coming across on starboard.
Yeah, copy, Pete. I'm thinking similar sort of things here. I think surely you'd have to agree that you know, both boats are being sailed really well, and you know, the race is on.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? First time that they've actually raced. The level looks so high. Orient Express, remember, they bought a design package from Emirates Team New Zealand. They have a sister ship to the Defender, and they're certainly not lacking for pace.
Both boats looking really nice through the water there, and Stephen, as we're sort of coming up the beat here, it's really, really interesting to see these boats really racing for the first time in anger, really looking clean and tidy.
And you might suggest, looking at the numbers, that they have picked up about 80 or 90 metres, the French, on that bottom mark, but they were about 200 behind, so this upward leg has been a strong one for Orient Express Racing as we head towards the top mark and get to the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, really nice tack there by Orient Express Racing. They'll be really happy with that, and just need to lock the boat in, get it really dialed in here, and you know, they won't get too far out of the picture, so it's all about millimetres in these games. So all the little movements, all the little trimming that the boys will be doing, the cyclors powering those hydraulic pumps to adjust all the sail plan. It's a real choreography that they need to get dialed in to get these A675s around the track cleanly.
Glenn, it's like they've been given the keys to the Ferrari. They just have to work out how to get it around the track. You have been coaching with the French. Now, how quickly are they learning?
Yeah, well, lots of learning. Let's go down to the water. Chase Zero. Pete, what do you got?
I'm just seeing a slight drop in the pressure in the wind speed, and I think through that lighter phase, you know, from the bottom mark to about where they are now, it just looked like the French had a little bit better pace on leg 3 coming up to the stop mark.
So Alinghi Red Bull Racing heading towards the top mark, and it'll be potentially they'll take that, as you can see it, the right-hand mark, as you said, will be the left-hand mark to them. And that gap is just slightly extended, but the French are not letting them go. They're just hounding them. Alinghi Red Bull Racing around the top mark and completing the halfway mark of race number 1 in the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta. What's the gap? 13 seconds. It was 12 seconds the last time, so marginal.
I think that's to say there was a little bit of snakes and ladders on that last sort of upwind and downwind, so both teams, you know, pushing really hard here to sail the boats well, and the French team are really going to need to pull something out of the bag here to claw the team of Alinghi Red Bull Racing back. A very, very evening performance looking at this stage of the game.
But as you said, you are one poor manoeuvre away from it all folding. So yeah, keep it tight. I mean, that has to be the strategy of Orient Express.
While we're talking about Orient Express, we've got to remember this is a team that received their boat late, very late, and they took, as Shirley quite rightly said, took their design package and the whole thing from Emirates Team New Zealand, and you have been involved. Their learning is vertical. It's literally at full speed.
Absolutely, the team have done a fantastic job to get the boat on the water. You know, not only the sailing team, obviously getting it around the track, but the whole team, the shore crew, the designers back in the base there, doing a brilliant job of getting the boat together and learning how to use it.
Il faut continuer parce qu'on est libre et on va plus vite. Moi aussi. Je suis d'accord avec ça.
Let's go onto the water now, the chase boat now, and Coach Thierry Doulard is with us from Orient Express Racing. You'd be fairly happy with the way the team are sailing this boat at the moment, would you, Thierry?
Yeah, so far we just need to have a start and to be able to be further guys at the beginning, because after it's way harder because they're sailing well, but in terms of performance it looks like we're okay, we are pushing them, so still one lap to go and we'll see what's going on.
Well, I suppose the learning curve is a large one, and those starts will be something you've got plenty of time to work on, but they're hanging in there as we expect. Thanks for your time, Thierry.
Thanks, mate.
Encore, en médium, les gars, pardon.
We've got the French team sailing up the exhaust pipe a little bit here of Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Just a couple of little gains there to the French coming down here. Possibly pressure related, but the gap I think is not quite as much as it was at the top mark. So really interesting here as they're coming down. Definitely some puffs and lulls on the course. You can see the darker patches in real life on the water, but we do have the advantage now of being able to see it real time across the whole course. And I wish I had that on board when I was sailing back in the day.
Surely as they head towards the bottom gate, you've sailed here. I might come to you after they get round the bottom mark and we complete leg number 4 as Alinghi Red Bull Racing here, lead in Orient Express Racing to complete leg number 4 of this opening race in the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta, heading towards the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. And around they go, they take the left marker. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, both boards down.
Yeah, following.
Followed by Orient Express Racing, so it's a mirror image of what they've been doing, but surely you know this water, you've sailed on this water. Sea state is something we've been talking about in the lead-up. It is a washing machine.
Yeah, Stephen, I mean, I did the Olympics here way back when I was very young, and I've sailed here quite a lot. It is the overriding factor here. The waves never quite line up from the wind, and it's something that teams have taken into consideration at every decision-making level. Design level, and systems, everything. It has been crucial to work out how to foil in the fastest race boats on the planet in a very confused sea. Not easy, but...
No. Definitely not easy, but having a look at the breeze here, we've actually got the French lining up this puff actually coming down the course. That darker green and then into the lighter green, that is more pressure. Where Alinghi Red Bull Racing are, you can see there slightly lighter phase as they go across. So it'll be interesting to see how the snakes and ladders work out over the next minute or so here as they go in. The French look like they're really ripping through that puff now, so they've got the hammer down.
Let's go on to chase zero, Pete. What are you saying?
Yeah, both boats heading directly at us. We're over on the left, and Alinghi at the moment are slightly bow up, but it looks like Orient have got a bit more pressure down to leeward, but they certainly look impressive. Their forestays are just rock solid in terms of the rig loads that they're using in this about 12 knots.
Alinghi there just giving the French absolutely no breathing room whatsoever. They're just absolutely landing on there, just not making their life easy at all. So the dirty air coming off the back of Alinghi Red Bull Racing, it's sort of second hand here, if you like, that basically the turbulence behind the boat affects the boat behind. So you see the French there having to sort of clear their air whenever they can to make sure they've got a fresh air intake coming onto the sail plan.
I've been impressed with Alinghi Red Bull Racing, really calm decision-making. They've had a plan at every stage of the race, and we've heard that on the onboards.
Yeah, super impressive to see. Surely they're really sailing the boat really, really well. Very plenty of competition at the moment there from the Yacht team. And obviously a lot of time and effort gone into it. They have been here the longest out of all the teams, so this will be another day at the office for them.
We do the same, yeah. Okay, key in 5. 3, 2, 1. Ball's going down. And touch. 2, 1. Up. We're just on the edge of the righty, so I'd get an header. We're not to gain. If they tack, we tack, okay?
Fantastic shots on board there of the aero side of the boats, and then the French again having to clear their air, just get a nice fresh shot of air out of the sail plan again. It's really, really classic match racing here. Alinghi Red Bull Racing not giving the French anything. They're just saying, sorry boys, you're going to be hitting some dirt for quite a while.
And that would be a good start to your match racing coach. Look at them going, you got the start, but you also held them off because we know what the French can do.
Something was going on with the French there. I think the systems wasn't quite working, or the electronics, or they were so far off that start, and I'm sure they've been really frustrated by that, because now, actually, they're up to pace and they're sailing well.
It'll be interesting to find out what happened there at the start for the French.
Bord d'arbre.
execution of this top sector of the course, and then pretty much a delivery to the finish from there.
That's something you always talk about to us, about the efficiency, the execution of the manoeuvres. This makes such a difference. We reference F1 and how you go in and out of corners. Same thing. Get it wrong, get it wrong, get it right, and away you go. And Alinghi Red Bull Racing will lead Orient Express Racing down on the home leg number 6 for the win, potentially. Never say never in the world of sport. As Orient Express Racing now approach the top mark for the last time in race 1 of this Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. Take the opposing mark and head downwind for the final time.
Aigle.
Les milieux cuits. Médium, on continue.
A lovely shot of the foils right there, and there's been quite a lot of changes to the AC75 since the last time. It is lighter, there's less people. The foil arms are longer, a good bit longer, nearly 400 mil, 500 mil. So it's a lot more manoeuvrable, and we're going to see a lot more action.
Yeah, the boats are really efficient as we're looking down the course here, and a great view there of the wind field from Captain and you really get to see the pressure there, and you see Alinghi, you know, in nice breeze at the moment, but sort of having to transition a few lulls as they go through there. The French driving on the boundary there. Really, the only option at the moment is for the French is that Alinghi do make a mistake in one of their manoeuvres, but they're sailing the boat well, so I don't think that's going to happen.
And of course, they're sailing so fast, they're sailing into the new breeze. The breeze isn't coming from behind like regular sailors would do. There's no need to look behind, is there? It's all coming.
That's the thing, you're always looking forwards, and sailing downwind, you're actually looking hundreds of metres in front of what sort of breeze that you're actually sailing into. And some fantastic shots there of Alinghi Red Bull Racing, absolutely boosting downwind there. Speed of the boat there, around 43 knots of breeze, you know. 12 knots of wind, so absolutely incredible efficiency. As you said, Shirley, the foils, these horizontals there, you can see some cavitation developing on the top surface of those foils on the suction side, on the lifting side of the foils. Those foils are now 800 millimetres longer than they were in the previous version, so a lot more efficient. The glide of the boat's very good, and the performance going up and up.
How hard is it to sail at 20 centimetres off the water and just keep looking? It looks like it's on rails.
Practice makes perfect, and these teams certainly put a lot of time and effort in on the simulator and out on the water, and I think he's certainly no short of time on the water here in Barcelona.
Okay, 2, 1, cross going down. Close. And turning. Plus 4. Touch line at the bottom.
10 on dark.
No mistake there from Alinghi, so
I will.
French running out of options here, moving towards the finish.
We are experiencing sailing like we've never seen before, at speeds and competition like we have never seen before. And Alinghi Red Bull Racing are about to get the first point on the board in the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. They have done it well, and there they go. They cross the line, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing take the 1 point for the win against Orient Express Racing. And the learning continues, goes on for Orient Express Racing. They'll sit back and look at that start and wonder what if. They will cross the line and they'll come up as hard as sport is. No points. 1 point for the win, 0 for the second place getter at the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. The win goes to Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
On va attendre de l'autre côté.
Ouais.
Ça accélère.
Bravo, cycliste.
A really solid performance there by Alinghi Red Bull Racing. I think the whole wider team, you know, will be very, very pleased with that result. And you know, after a bit of a disaster a couple of days ago, you know, they're back on the water again, and what a solid performance. You know, 36-second lead there over Orient Express Racing, and you know, they take the win here in race 1.
Well, actually, the Swiss outfit did really well. positioned for their own start, stayed high, beautiful timing. They just didn't get involved with the French, who were having all their own issues. And from here, pretty hard race for Orient Express. And Alinghi Red Bull Racing covered them all the way.
Yeah, coming into gate 3 here, it was really a little gain back to the French, but Alinghi Red Bull Racing just sailing the boat so beautifully around the track and really not giving the French any opportunity to make a passing move on it.
Well, it was a massive win in the end for Alinghi Red Bull Racing, and they'll take a lot from that. Remember, this is practice racing and a lot of lessons to be had.
So first points on the board of this preliminary regatta to Alinghi Red Bull Racing, and one of their helmsmen is Arno Sarafagis. He joins us right now. Nice start to the regatta. Congratulations. Happy with everything?
Yes, yeah, I think I'm really happy with everything. We actually executed the plan as we wanted. A few adjustments from yesterday practice race. There is still many things to improve, but the team did a really fantastic job, and we just work on the details, and it's always great to get the first win of the series. Yeah.
All right, appreciate the time, mate. Go well in the rest of the regatta. Let's go across now to Orient Express Racing. Quentin Delapierre, who is on helm for Orient Express. Quentin, what happened at the start?
We did too many mistakes, and at this level is not correct, and we just give the start to Alinghi, so just need to regroup.
This is
and,
the race
do
committee.
things
That's
better.
10 minutes to the
Are
start.
you willing to
of
just
match
listen
2?
to maybe
New
a
Zealand
couple of
entering
a
on
mistake
port,
that you made at the
Italy
start?
entering on starboard, course 6.
Sorry, I have the race management in the comms, so I didn't hear you.
Quentin, are you willing to just give us an indication as to one of the mistakes you may have made at the start?
Yeah, we missed the entry, and after that we were not able to take the strategy of the start correctly, so put us under pressure, and we just need to do things better.
All right, appreciate the time, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow. Actually, later on today, I should say, they're also in race number 4 against Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. My apologies there. And here are the numbers.
Yeah, having a look at the numbers there, you know, it's obviously a 36-second deficit there at the finish, really, and I think really that race really came down to the start for the French team. Both performance numbers very, very similar once they actually got locked in, so I really put that race down to, you know, poor execution of the start, which is disappointing for the team.
Yeah, there was a slow bleed, wasn't there, of the French, and it wasn't about pace. They had pace, you can see that, just a click slower than the Swiss, but just too many mistakes in the manoeuvres.
For 133 years, the New York Yacht Club's grasp on the old mug couldn't be broken. And since then, no country has held the cup longer than Emirates Team New Zealand. They are the most successful team in modern history. Kevin Shoebridge is now his 10th cup and has seen his team go from underdog to top dog and back again, more than once.
We're a team that's run by yachtsmen. We're not a team that's run by businessmen. We've never lost sight of the main goal in the America's Cup. There's never been a shortage of desire and motivation to win. My name's Kevin Shoebridge and I'm Chief Operating Officer at Emirates Team New Zealand. The America's Cup's hard to win because it's such a multifaceted challenge, and it often takes multiple efforts to get everything to align. When we first started in the 80s, we knew nothing. The big lessons learned from the first campaign really was just constant development is a necessity that we didn't realise at the time. 95 It was one of those campaigns that right from the get-go you knew you were onto something.
If New Zealand hold this position, the America's Cup is coming to New Zealand.
After the win in '95, bringing the Cup back to New Zealand, the team just got bigger, stepped up a gear. The design process stepped to another level again. We were sort of riding the wave of '95.
It's black to the future.
The failure of 2003, you know, there's a lot of ways you can break it down. They were plagued with reliability problems. That was the worst thing about the campaign, was watching them out in the water, breaking rigs.
Like a matchstick, it has just snapped.
The problem with that, we then went into the 2007 campaign and we almost took that baggage with us. So 2007, one of our key decisions was that everything had to be reliable, and that can be detrimental to your performance.
Team New Zealand coming down. Alinghi's going to get there.
We sort of had to lose again in 2007 to take another step. Even the 2013 campaign in San Francisco, to a certain point, we restricted ourselves. But we were just on this slow, slippery slope. Always remember to this day, even when we were way ahead in that match, whether it was 6 or 7 races clear, I thought we're in trouble here. We should have seen it coming before we did.
This will definitely hurt for Emirates Team New Zealand. The comeback of 2013.
Build up to Bermuda was fantastic. We developed the design and construction of the simulator and the idea of the bike power. But why wouldn't you do something that provided 30 or 35% more power? It was too late for anyone to catch up.
There you see the unique setup with the cyclors.
Innovation is key, and always has been in the America's Cup. There's been more innovation, I would suggest, in the last 10 years than there probably was in the 100 years previous in the America's Cup. Now, in the Cup that we won a couple of years ago, to me, that was the best team event. To this day, the America's Cup is about the team that can do all the small things properly, not one silver bullet, and that will be the case in Barcelona this time.
Yes, beat that team at 24, win the Cup. And it's time to go racing again. Emirates Team New Zealand, Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Well, here they are, the benchmark, the defender. Their strength rests in no small part in their ability to retain talent cup on cup across all the departments. Two-time winning driver Pete Burling is starboard helm, but new for this campaign is Olympic rival Nathan Outridge sits on port. Trimming is Tuka Maloney, and with an enviable squad of cyclors, well, they start this campaign with Van der Poel, Allen, Crosby and Bond, literally leading the charge.
Runners-up in AC36, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, obviously with a huge amount of experience on board the boat, with Francesco Bruni and James Spithill driving the boat round the track. Umberto Molinari and Andrea Tessi are trimming the foils on board the yacht. Enrico Voltolini, Cesar Garbia, Emmanuel Luizzi and Luca Kerwin on board, powering the pumps on board the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli machine.
So here we go, a mini replay of one of the races in the match for AC36. Starboard helm, you can see him, Burling, Port, Outridge on the bottom. It's Bruni and Spittle. Can't ask for a better race early in the piece.
Well, let's have a look at the wind field. Liking that right-hand side. More breeze over there.
About 10 would be good. Might be a bit of an upper there. Stay on to out of it. How about that, guys?
This is the race committee. The wind sampling period is complete. This race will start on schedule.
So this race number 2 of the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. It will be Emirates Team New Zealand entry, 2 minutes and 10 seconds for the port. It'll be 2 minutes for Rossa Prada Pirelli. The first race, both boats were pretty much out of sync. Let's see how let's be honest, these are the big boys of the regatta.
Yeah, this feels like a big lineup. The defender and the challenger from the last America's Cup. Let's see what they got.
Yeah, we've seen this movie before. Know the feeling and know what this first entry is like against all of the teams here, knowing who's on board, and with 7 seconds to go, both these teams should be really accurate with their entry as they're coming in here.
Emirates Team New Zealand pretty much on point. Maybe a second out, you wouldn't worry about that coming into the start block. 2 minutes for Luno Rossa Parada Pirelli, because this dance is about to get underway.
Interested to see how aggressive this dance is going to be. This is practice racing, remember, this is early days for our summer in Barcelona.
Full speed here, guys. Before reaching here.
Feeling quiet, maybe it's all in the head now, they're not letting us know clearly.
That's something coming all day for us. Both these teams know exactly what they need to do here. They'll have seen this movie and played this out on the simulator thousands of times.
Slow tempo there.
30
for board down.
Got it.
Board down.
2 boards.
Aspetta.
We're almost down at the boat. 40 to the boat
Rossa
now.
opting for leading back.
Going to bottom here.
Nice.
Up hard. Can always hit it in.
Everyone, eh?
Emirates Team New Zealand here looking to keep a little bit of gauge on us to try and close the gauge. Emirates Team New Zealand rolling over the front of the Rossa Pirelli. Swapping positions there.
Still
Big
long
for the
time
pin.
to kill.
20 for the boat, 40 total.
That's last. Happy with this?
6 for the pin. Charge is about 13.
No track for me.
Okay, on time for the pin now.
That's pretty slow.
25 to the start.
All good.
22.
This down as well.
19.
Big push, boys.
They're starting to come hard now.
Yeah, big push, you guys.
Happening. Happy border.
1 border. 13. All good on the
Start edging
10
slowly.
seconds to go for race 2. Who gets the start?
Start edging. Racing.
That's
Both beautiful time to start, but it's Emirates Team New Zealand with their nose in front. Race 2 of the Vuitton preliminary regatta. What a start!
Yeah, fantastic start there, both boats. I think Emirates Team New Zealand there executed that a little better than Rossa Pirelli, and they'll be wanting to stay in touch with Rossa Pirelli here as they head across. They'll be wanting to not give them too much gauge and make them pay. Use that small advantage to really make them pay on this next intersection over the next minute or so.
Let's go to Peter Lester on Chase Zero, our hydrogen zero emission boat. Pete, what did you make at the start?
Well, different venue, but same game as what we saw in Auckland 2021, and Jimmy Spittle against Peter Burling. That's first class, that's the first division. But lovely start by both boats. I give a slight advantage to Emirates Team New Zealand as we're coming up to the first cross.
1 point down. Slowest turn.
1 and button. Just on the bottom of 1.
They're out.
They go back. It's 2 right.
Tack away there. There's no way they're going to be able to lift there. So really tight racing there. It'll be interesting to see how far Emirates Team New Zealand let them go here. Not too far by the looks of that early tack. So they'll be wanting to keep really tight and try and maintain that advantage over Rossa Pirelli all the way up this beat as they tack back and try and go bow on bow.
Wind looks good in that right-hand side. The wind field telling us that there's more pressure right where the Italians are.
We're not boats.
A mistake by Luno Rossa Pirelli. How costly will that be?
Non vedo niente, Volto.
Could be a possible shutdown of the boat there for those guys. Not sure what's going on. We're trying to listen.
Yeah, you got nothing.
Maybe the boat is back here, guys.
Hey, let's try and get a jib.
Let's try and get a replay on this now. Just having a look. We're coming out of the tack.
Lost the boat.
They said they've lost the boat, so that would be a systems failure on the boat, which is a real shame for Rossa Pirelli. At this point of the proceedings, you can just see there they've lost the boat. Negative and just forced the bow of the boat into the water, so they've had to actually do a full shutdown there.
Lost the boat.
So real shame there for Rossa Pirelli.
Lost the boat.
Glenn, just explain, what does that mean? You've lost the boat. It's the computer or the power or everything?
Yeah, look, basically it'll be a system shutdown on the boat, so the computer basically will shut down, so all functionality on board the yacht that's controlling the foils and the sails will generally shut down. So sometimes you can lose little things, but this sounds like the whole boat has actually gone into a shutdown mode. So it's a bit of a shame. You can hear Jimmy Spittle saying there they've got the boat back, so it's obviously rebooted, and unfortunately they'll be out of the race from here.
In the meantime, it's Emirates Team New Zealand just sailing away, you might say, in race number 2. Heading towards the top mark without anyone pushing them. But again, regardless of anyone pushing them, this is invaluable practice for any team, regardless of the situation.
I can't see that one from outside. Oh, well. It's taken up in apex.
Emirates Team New Zealand running the mark for the first time on leg 1 of 6 in this Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta.
Let's build at the end of this.
Let's go down to chase 0. I'm going to ask you the question, Pete. It all looks so easily, but those mark runnings, how tough are they?
I think one of the key points is going from upwind, downwind, and you know, it's quite controllable now. It's only about 11, 12 knots, but watch out when the breeze gets up. But I think it's one of those manoeuvres that you can really judge the differences between the teams in terms of boat handling, crew work. But what was going through my mind as that race started to unfold was how close Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli and Emirates Team New Zealand are. I was starting to think maybe when they got into a little bit of tacking that the New Zealanders seemed to be coming out of the tacks and getting back to target speed just a click quicker, maybe half boat length quicker than Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. But you know, what we've just witnessed just illustrates again reliability, because that will be a talking point through this 37th America's Cup.
So there's a good sign for fans of Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. The silver bullet is back up and going after what you described potentially as a systems issue. Glenn.
Yeah, look, these things happen, and you know, in early days of racing, you know, you're implementing new systems and you're still working through. So although, you know, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli will be very, very disappointed with that, I'm sure they'll be working through it. They're a very, very experienced team, a lot of really, really clever, good people that are very, very experienced. So disappointing for the team, but I'm sure they'll work through it, and we'll be seeing them fighting hard as we go forwards for sure.
This is the first of racing, and it is an increased intensity. You're pushing the boat harder, you're pushing everything harder, aren't you? And there is going to be issues.
There will be, and you know, pushing the boat hard, you know, in racing, you know, potentially, you know, trimming and sailing the boats compared to when you're sailing around by yourself. You're using, you know, 30 to 40% more oil, for example, with the sails, just by having to push hard against another boat. So the cyclors having to push extra hard during racing, just to compare to sort of sailing around by yourself. You can do some mock-up manoeuvres, but there's nothing like actually being in racing competition.
I spoke to some of the British cyclors this morning. They said it'd been a 20% increase in demand come race day.
Emirates Team New Zealand, they will not be pushing this boat any harder than they need to now. Just take Tohoru quietly through the rest of the race, being mindful, of course, that they want to pick up the 1 point as well in the preliminary regatta standings.
Yeah, learnings every minute you're sailing these boats as new equipment and new settings and new tuning is coming on board, new sea state. Obviously the waves and the sea state that Mother Nature provides is different every day, so every time you're out in the water is a big game.
It's just worth looking at the bottom left of the screen, and that's downwind speed as we see Emirates Team New Zealand head towards the bottom mark for the first time to complete leg number 2. We can tell you that the Italians yesterday hit 52 knots, and we were all just slack-jawed and open-mouthed going, what have we just seen? These boats are incredible, incredible machines.
Glenn, you were part of the Defenders team at the last Cup in New Zealand. You know, how important are these early chances to race against the challengers?
Yeah, really, really important for Emirates Team New Zealand, you know, to take this opportunity to be able to line up and do some racing with some other teams, because as the defender, you don't get to do the Louis Vuitton final or the semi-final, so you really are lacking race time when it comes to actually lining up for the first race of the America's Cup. So these races now, the learnings out of this is absolutely invaluable for the team, you know, for the whole team going forward.
New to the team, of course, Nathan Outridge. We had a lovely shot of him. Port Helm with the defender. What's he added to this mix?
Nathan is a very, very experienced campaigner, and he certainly knows both Pete and Blair very, very well. After years and years of sailing 49ers and Olympic skiff classes together, you know, those guys know each other really, really well. So I think Nathan's been an absolutely brilliant inclusion into the team. And, you know, as a fellow Australian, I'm happy for him to fly the flag for us.
Well, the other thing too is he was a competitor against Peter Burling as well in his Olympic days. So having someone to push an individual in your own team is the perfect scenario for any team.
Look, it really is a fantastic program for the team, and the boys, as I said, know each other really, really well. They've done a lot of sailing against each other. They know how to push each other. They know how to develop together and really wind each other up and get the best out of the boat. So, you know, really technical guys, both of them, and I think with Blair and also with Andy Maloney and the rest of the team, you know, with a great coaching staff as well behind the scenes in Ray Davies and Josh Jr. You know, you just look at this boat sailing now and you go, wow, there's not too much that you'd sort of change with that, how it's being sailed through the water at the moment.
We will see more of this shot throughout all the different boats, but it's still beggars belief to any non-sailor. How the hell are they doing that? Sailing at 40 knots on rudder there and a foil there.
Certainly a picture of technology and efficiency, and, you know, really raising the bar, you know, for what our sport of yachting can showcase. And whilst it's a shame not to sort of see an epic battle between these two powerhouse teams, a real shame to have Luna Rossa drop out of that race. Seeing Team New Zealand obviously sail the boat around the track, and what we're going to see in the future is very exciting.
So Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli rounding the bottom mark for the first time after their systems failure, but they're up and going, and they'll want to figure it out as they continue on.
Can you open the comms with the boat? There's an issue. You want to stop the boat, please?
Well, that was
Italy. Can you please confirm that you have retired so that we can open up the comms?
Well, that was first their coach Philip Presti asking them to retire. Obviously, they monitor the boat on the coach boat as well, and there's issues on board.
Well, they're going down.
Italy, this is the race committee. Can you please confirm you have retired so that we can open up the comms?
We have, thank you, race committee.
Race committee. Italy, yeah, we've retired.
So
thanks for that, Italy. Race committee copies.
Confirmation that Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli have pulled the pin on race number 2 in this Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. Real shame, because you've got to say, even in the early stages of that race,
this is the
it was
umpires.
game on. You saw something, didn't you? I mean, let's be honest, there was something there.
Yeah, it was so exciting, wasn't it, for the first few minutes where there was 20 metres behind them. I mean, what is that, like a second or something? Nothing between them. But a very sensible approach. They need to preserve the asset, look after it, and they were worried, we heard on the onboard comms, they were worried about the barrelway, so, you know, safety.
Emirates Team New Zealand completing the halfway mark, heading on the downward leg, but they'll be safe in the knowledge they've picked up the 1 point in race number 2 of this Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. Look, cyclors, yeah, we're still going. We're just going to keep grinding out, and the amount of work they have to do constantly is ridiculous.
You know, we saw the dual helm position on Luna Rossa in the last Cup in New Zealand, but now they have all adopted it. Just look there. I mean, how do they even see where they're going? There is a tiny bit of helmet sticking over the top. Really difficult visibility.
Yeah, the cyclors obviously having a screen in front of them there. They're not just looking at the floor. There's plenty of information down there, screens, buttons. They've actually got, it's funny, everyone thinks they're just pedaling, but they're not. They've actually got a lot of gear changing to do, pump management, oil management, oil pressure management. The list goes on and on.
Let's go on to Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. Francesco Bruni is waiting for us. Hi, Francesco. Yeah, it's a tough start to the day, isn't it?
Can you guys hear me fine?
Francesco, that's a tough start for the day, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately.
Echo, can you hear the broadcast on your comms?
Yeah, it's a tough, very hard start the day like this, but luckily that's why we have these preliminary events. Yeah.
Francesco, you said you lost the boat. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes, mate. Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, it must have been an electrical issue. I'm 99% sure it was an electrical problem. Basically, we had no functions on the boat working for something like 20 seconds after the tap. So, yeah, it was not ideal. A little bit scary as well when you have zero control of the boat. Luckily, it happened in a moment where we could get control again. It was not a better way or around that, but yeah, not ideal.
All right, mate, we'll leave you alone, but we look forward to seeing you up against Orient Express Racing in the last race of the day.
Thank you, guys.
So, there you have it. And the one key word that he used there, scary. Lose control of the boat of those, what are they, 3 ton, around 3 ton now, aren't they?
Oh, 7 tons, 7 tons. The AC40's around sort of 2.2 tons, and the big AC75's in around 7,000 kilos. So it's a lot of mass. When you
runaway elephant.
It's a runaway elephant, absolutely. And as we're watching Emirates Team New Zealand here, you can imagine going along on a freight train and then having zero control. It's not a good feeling, that's for sure.
Yes, I think scary encapsulates that pretty well, Glenn.
been there and seen it. It's not ideal.
We can enjoy these shots, can't we? I mean, look at it, so much aero detail in development in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, Shirley, it's been really interesting to see the development of all the boats as we're watching Emirates Team New Zealand tack here, and each team has obviously taken slightly different approaches, except the French, because they have the same package as Emirates Team New Zealand, but each of the other teams have really taken subtle different approaches, and we've seen a real convergence of the design philosophy, with the boats as we've gone into these Gen 3 AC75s.
On that subject, we're going to see 2 very different philosophical approaches to boat design in the next race with American Magic and Ineos Britannia, because there's been lots of chat about both boats and whether you like it, whether you don't like it, how efficient it's going to be, but we will see that in the next race.
Okay, go for another one on 5. 3, 2, 1. Doesn't go green if it's already at 72.
You only have to stick your head out the sunroof to realise how important aero is, don't you?
Yeah, really interesting shots here on board. So basically, when you're doing sort of 38, 39 knots upwind at times when it's windy, and you're in about 25 knots of breeze, it's like 100 kilometres an hour over your head, so you want to keep your head down.
Confirmation, winner, race 2, Emirates Team New Zealand. That's come from our race management committee, so they get the 1 point, the all-important 1 point. Remember, they race each other once, and the top 2 on the last day will face off in the match race final to win the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta here in Barcelona.
Yeah, they were like 2 boards in on exit runner out.
Racing.
Good start here, obviously a super close start. Shirley really engaged, both boats. A fantastic battle there.
Yeah, it's a good sign for the future, isn't it? We're going to have some exciting racing. And so quickly went into textbook, attacking and defending.
And then this moment here, just the loss of the boat, and we were really looking forward to some fantastic racing, and unfortunately an electrical issue on the Rossa Prada Pirelli, and we were so excited to see these boats engage around the rest of the race.
Race committee copies.
Yeah, heartbreak for Luna Rossa, but in part, as Francesco said, this preliminary regatta is for getting rid of these gremlins, making sure you turn up to the show in good shape. What a lap of honour, though. They were enjoying themselves out there, weren't they, Glenn? I mean, faultless sailing by the defender.
Key moment here, obviously in this race, the shutdown of the boat there, the rudder going into to full negative, so basically the elevator of the boat just shutting off and forcing the bow of the boat right under the water there. And you heard pretty much immediately the crew on board just saying, we've lost the boat, we've lost the boat. And that's not a nice feeling when you're on board a 7-ton carbon fibre missile.
For the sailors on an AC-75, an America's Cup match race is a game of strategy. But for the cyclors, you can see right there, the men tasked with powering the above-deck hydraulics, it's a pain game. The ability to suffer and survive inside what they call the pain cave. It could be the difference between winning and losing.
In those moments where you're really buried as deep physically as you can go, it's not pretty. No one can sit here and say, I feel enormous pride, you know, when I'm suffering. Suffering is suffering, right?
I'm certain there's going to be times in an America's Cup race where guys are going to be asked to push harder, further than they've ever done before.
The most challenging thing about cycloring is the repeated effort and consistent maximal efforts that need to be done. It's really difficult.
If you want to suffer and put yourself through physical pain, you're going to go a lot further as a cyclor.
The ability to suffer is what can separate a great athlete from an average athlete.
We hear about Tour de France riders putting out more than 400 watts for big climbs for 15 or 20 minutes. All of these cyclists can do more than that.
Going to your maximal point for long periods of time and then having to back that up for 25 minutes is probably the hardest part about it.
Once you feel that heart rate's really topping up there, you can certainly feel at your limit.
All the guys in the team, they feed off each other when they're learning how to go deep into the pain cave.
The ability to suffer, some people want to and other people steer clear of it.
If it was too much for them, if they couldn't take the suffering, then they would have stopped 10 or 15 or 20 years ago.
I think it's a trainable thing, how hard you can go.
It's about becoming comfortable being uncomfortable.
Discomfort is something I've often actively pursued. It was probably part of being a caveman back in the day.
It's enjoyable to watch where my sort of mentality and my brain goes when things are getting hard.
When people are suffering, they have different responses.
I can sometimes try to escape what's going on and try and hide away from the difficulty of what we're doing.
Close your eyes if you want to. Some of the guys do that and just push as hard as you can.
I find that every time that I delve further into it and really go deeper with it, mentally, I learn so much more about myself.
Sometimes I have a bit of negative self-talk, or, you know, just tell yourself to harden up and swallow a concrete pill and get on with it.
All you can sort of hope for and rely on in that situation is that you have more tools in your tool chest than anyone else.
I suppose one of my superpowers is the ability to recover. I just need that slither, just that slitherer to recover, and then I'm good to go again.
It's addictive and you always want to come back for more.
Welcome to the pain cave. It's as simple as that. Where you're looking at Rossa Prada Pirelli, the defeated combatant at AC-36. But Rossa Prada Pirelli is here to make a mark on the world stage. In modern America's Cup history, they are the perennial bridesmaid. Over the course of 40 years, they've won the right to compete for the America's Cup 3 times, but sailing's most elusive piece of silverware has always slipped from their grasp. Their pursuit for America's Cup glory starts again.
Italy first time in the America's Cup was in 1983, and that was with Azzurra.
They start as an adventure more than a real challenge.
Soddisfatto, non mi aspettavo niente di più e niente di meno.
It started making some people dreaming, like me. I was only 10 when I listened to the radio about the news about the Azzurra. Sailing was totally new for people, and that started a very big and long process. First time for Luna Rossa was back in 2000 in Auckland, and that was also a very, very clear memory for a lot of Italians and me, because Luna Rossa made it to the finals of the America's Cup.
Here we go, another argument on proper course.
Well, obviously when we start, I don't think everyone was giving us much consideration. I think during the round robin, when we start sailing and racing, I mean, the value of the team start to come out.
Prada have got them as they're rolling over the top. They come in on starboard. They're going to cast them out and they tack. That is absolutely magnificent stuff.
One of the beauty of that campaign was the fact actually until the final, the Kiwi people was actually cheering for us.
That America's Cup created a passion for sailing in a lot of people in Italy and even in me.
Luna Rossa was new and nobody was expecting Luna Rossa to do so well, to win semi-finals, finals and get into the America's Cup against the Kiwis.
In 2021, for only the second time in their history, Luna Rossa will be the official challenger for the America's Cup. This is a big moment, and they have done it once again.
Fantastico! È bellissimo! È bellissimo!
Well, it was an important achievement winning the Prada Cup in Auckland for two reasons. One, because obviously the name of the cup was Prada. And secondly, because we were alone there.
Everybody was at home in lockdown and, you know, waking up during the night, watching Italy winning, and it was something very special for them and for us.
I think people sometimes underestimate the situation, how bad it was in Italy. So I think we give a little bit of hope to people.
I mean, I had many people sending me messages, emails saying, thank you. During these dark times, you guys are giving us the sunshine again, or things like that. And I remember that was something special.
The most important message for Luna Rossa team was the fact we actually beat those guys with such a slow boat.
Oh, that's a good one, Jimmy.
And I remember after the first race, I jumped on board and I went to Jimmy, and we both said at the same time, we can beat this guy.
It has been a mighty challenge from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They have put up a fight, and they have done the America's Cup and Italy proud.
Well, I think winning the Prada Cup meant a lot to the Italian fans and to Italy in general. It really just showed that the team can do it. But that's now in the rear-view mirror. All we've got to focus on is what's in front of us. Luna Rossa in Italy is a household name. Without a doubt, Italian fans are some of the most passionate, the most loyal.
When there is something new which is coming out and it's going well, everyone gets passionate, and everyone is going to be professional sailor at that time.
Every day we go in the water, we have an extra push, and the extra push is made by all our fans. We really feel we have another gear compared to the other teams. I love the idea of all those people coming to Barcelona and cheering for us in the water, by the streets, around our base. I'm really looking forward to that.
I really want to win the cup, and it's my nightmare and my dream at the same time. And in Barcelona, there is still an open book against Team New Zealand, which we want to finish the end. And so we need to write the last few pages of the book to then be able to put the book in the library.
Rossa Prada Pirelli were desperately dubbed to be the 5th nation to ever win the America's Cup, but only 4 nations, America, Australia, New Zealand and Switzerland, have won the Cup. Britain gave the old mug to the world 173 years ago, but it's never held it aloft. That's powerful motivation for Ineos Britannia. And team principal Sir Ben Ainslie is the most successful Olympic sailor in history, and he's determined in 173 years of hurt and reclaim the Cup.
So we represent the Royal Yacht Squadron as Ineos Britannia, where the first America's Cup was hosted back in 1851. This is our 3rd time challenging for the America's Cup. We were first up in Bermuda in 2017.
The work starts now, and we will be stronger and we will be a successful team.
Then Auckland in 21.
We would love to get where we all want to be, which is getting the America's Cup back to Britain.
And now, of course, here in Barcelona 24. So, yeah, 3rd time lucky.
Well, the Challenger record is the first team to lay a challenge down, and it's the beginning of a partnership that will then go on to create some of the rules and protocol around what the event will look like for the next America's Cup.
This is the America. She fights her way through the fleet of British schooners and cutters.
The America's Cup, before the Americans won it, took it back off to New York Harbour and renamed it, as only the Americans can do. It was called the £100 Cup. It was a trophy held at the Royal Yacht Squadron in Cowes on the Isle of Wight in Britain, so it's definitely a British Cup.
Having the opportunity, being a part of a team that's striving to effectively correct the history books there is an incredible opportunity, and I just hope we can put the closing chapter on that rather awkward, very long lasting story.
For the final time, Ineos Team UK round the top gate and head home. But they won't be heading home to a victory parade.
Looking back to the Auckland campaign, it was very tough at times. You know, some of the toughest situations I've been in my professional career. We learned a huge amount from that period, and that has certainly helped us.
It's kind of taking those learnings from Auckland, shifting them over to the new class rule and getting the best out of it on the water.
I mean, they say that you learn more from your failures and your disappointments than you do from your successes, so that's certainly the case with our team.
The team's approach to AC37 has been much more of a design and engineering focus, and we've certainly been focused on the test boats, T6, and how that feeds into the design tools.
Joining up with Mercedes Formula One, it's really kind of given us that extra bit of horsepower to kind of push the design, the technical side of this boat to the next level.
In terms of being battle hardened for the competition, I think we've been through that, and everyone's come through some challenges through the other side. Really looking forward to the competition and getting stuck in.
And now it's time for race 3, New York American Magic against Ineos Britannia.
Well, they are back for more. The American Magic team representing the New York Yacht Club are in Barcelona with a new look and lineup. Sharing helming duties, sailing MVP Tom Slingsby and fellow Olympic gold medalist Paul Goodison. Trimming duties fall to Campbell and Menninger, and power comes from a mix of elite rowers and cyclists. And kipping in for this race is Hall, Bird, Cedar and Mollet.
Well, the powerhouse team of Ineos Britannia, a hugely experienced team there and a massive depth of talent right across the board. So Ben Ainslie skippering the boat, Dylan Fletcher on the other set of handlebars with Bledden Mott and Lee McMillan in the trimming role flying the boat. Matt Gottrell, Ben Cornish, Matt Rossiter and Neil Hunter are the boys that are powering the pumps on the Ineos Britannia AC75.
And if you've been watching our story just before, this feels already like a grudge match. with the way Sir Ben Ainsworth was talking about it being a British Cup way back in 1851, the 100-pound cup won by America. By the way, incidentally, today, 173 years ago, it was won, August 22, 1851. So quite appropriate that these two are going toe-to-toe, head-to-head to have a crack in race 3 of the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta here in Barcelona.
This is the race committee. The wind sampling period is complete, and this race is live.
So we are good to go in race 3. If you are just joining us, wherever you are around the globe, wins to Alinghi Red Bull Racing and wins to the defender Emirates Team New Zealand. Port entry will be the New York Yacht Club's American Magic Patriot up against Britannia from, well, an official challenger of record.
Yeah, both these teams getting geared up now, just killing a little bit of time before their entry into the pre-start. Only about 15 seconds to go for American Magic here entering. They're both boats wanting to be on time for a clean pre-start dance that we'll see shortly.
So American Magic coming in pretty much on time, port entry. Maybe just a little under, and 2 minutes is the entry time allowable for Ineos Britannia coming in from starboard.
Just a couple of seconds behind the entry allowable time there. Ineos Britannia giving American Magic just a couple of extra seconds of breathing room. Be interesting to see how both boats line up here and what philosophies they take on here in the pre-start.
Really hard these 2 minutes for the cyclors. I mean, maximum amount of manoeuvres and energy needed.
Yeah, a lot of sail trimming in this pre-start dance going on at the moment. Both boats circling, trying to put the other one in a more difficult position. Really, really hard on the cyclors there. You know, doing a lot of hydraulic oil movement. They'll be, you know, on the rev limiter there before they even get off the start line.
Right-hand side of the course looks strong. Also on a match racing course, you know, lots of benefits from being to the right.
So American Magic sailing up to windward of Ineos Britannia. They'll be looking to sort of push Ineos Britannia down the course a little bit to sort of put them on the back foot. Ineos Britannia re-tacking to then come back up and close the game. So really fantastic pre-start build-up here.
Turning up hard in 2, 1, turning up hard. Just coasting north-south. 11 boat. Up boat leg. Okay, pins open. Up here, yeah. Push guys. 9 boat up here.
Ineos Britannia looking to build speed and actually get a speed differential to hook American Magic here. American Magic accelerating, shutting the door. 10 seconds here.
3 line. 2 line. 1 line. Big push, guys. Come on, turning up. Everything you got.
Race 3 is go at the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta here in Barcelona. The New York Yacht Club's American Magic in the foreground. Beside them, Ineos Britannia, the official challenger of record.
Very similar. Okay, trying to work a bit of height now. Okay, you're on 0 offset. Yeah, I'm on mine. 30 seconds.
On board USA here now.
Making a little bit of a high groove here. No copy. Happy to take it. Yeah, nice on the jib. Okay, we are closing gauge. 25.
Nothing in this race at the moment. Both boats very evenly matched here. Slight advantage to Ineos Britannia for me.
Okay, we're very close here. Standing up a bit higher.
Getting near the boundary.
Okay, he turns, pressing here. Okay, 15. They're fielding on the move. 28, speed's coming. 5. He's a nice getting new mode here. Okay, average shift here. And it's coming out. 38 here, all the way.
Down to chase 0. Peter, what did you make of that start? Gee, I've got to say, Ineos Britannia looked quick today.
Yeah, Ineos looked really fast off the line. I think they had a nice speed build, but when they came over to the left, I was quite impressed by how American Magic just managed to climb out underneath. They were gauging in on Ineos, and what's really noticeable between the two boats is the projected hull area aerodynamically, American Magic looks a lot less hull to push through the air than Ineos. Interesting that the designers to come up with a solution have come from different corners of the rule, but I am impressed looking at American Magic. She certainly looks to be enjoying these conditions.
Yeah, he's starting to get a bit closer to boundary, but at the moment it's very marginal if we go for a lee bow or not, or duck. Pick one over.
So that's what's going on board American Magic. What's going on inside Ineos Britannia?
I think it's duck, I'm not sure. 1, 4 down. 3, 2, 1, mate. Turning. Remind. 2, 1, going board. We are strong, normal VMG. They duck then. Copy. We duck us by a couple of lengths to lengthen. Okay, mates coming on, boys.
Really nice game there by Yacht Britannia on that right-hand side of the course. A little more pressure possibly over there, Shirley, as we've been talking about this morning.
Yeah, we could see that at the Winfield. And one of the joys of having two helmsmen is that we get a running commentary from the one that's not steering. It is so good. We know exactly what they're thinking. They're painting a picture, not just for the other helmsmen, but for all of us.
Well, they definitely need to paint that picture well, because you cannot see a thing on the other side of the boat. You have a big black wall in front of you, so you're absolutely relying on those fantastic comms from the other side of the yacht to be able to sail the boat accurately, particularly in a tight boat-and-boat situation.
As they approach the top mark, what we are getting is what we mentioned at the end of the last race, two very different design concepts, where you've got Ineos Britannia, where you've got your trimmer sitting right at the back behind the cyclors, and on the opposite boat, you've got American Magic side by side, which is like a race car. As we see, this is an interesting one. Have American Magic made gains on the first leg upwind?
I think we're around the issue here. You're just not far away anytime.
So it's Patriot around the top mark for the first time, with a slight advantage. Let's see what that will be. They're saying 6 seconds. Game on.
Really tight battle here, going forwards, and I think possibly one less manoeuvre going forwards there for the Americans. You see the Winfield there. Both boats having to transition, both puffs and lulls heading to either side of the course, so it would be really interesting to see how this next intersection is going to be, of who's made a gain and who's made a loss. Quite difficult to tell, as they both have to transition a few puffs and lulls here.
3, 2, 1, mate.
So the coaches follow their charges, their steeds closely. Tom Burnham is the coach of American Magic. He joins us now. Hey, thanks for joining us, Coach. What are you making a start of this one? Just apologies there, slight technical difficulty, a bit like Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in the last race, but big cross coming up, hang on.
Just across American Magic. Just across in front there, too close to do a jibe in front of Ineos Britannia there. They would have actually infringed if they had tried to jibe in front there or get hooked. So very, very even race, Shirley, as we come downwind here at the moment.
If we want to take it. If we get those 190s at the bottom, it'll be...
Today really is reveal day. It's for all of us to take a look, but also all of them to collect data. And how exciting is it to start to get some real speeds off these machines?
I'm seeing some really even performance here of both these boats, which is really, really exciting, you know, as we move forwards in all these future series. This is fantastic racing, and great to see two boats pushing hard and with different design concepts.
Well, for race 3 of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta, we're actually getting a true match race here, and there's not too much between these two flying machines, and the speeds, as you can see, going down, it looks like Ineos Britannia in a bit of space as it was speed-wise.
And clear across just.
only saying 20 metres in it here, so basically a boat length in it, so really, really tight. It'll be really interesting to see how they play this bottom end of the course here, because the British will want to split here to not get hit by the Americans at the bottom of the course. The Americans will have to take a guess of which way the British will go here, so quite interesting.
It's going to be a two-board turn. Go board. 10 seconds. Copy. Follow them in right hand here. They're really just focusing on our manoeuvres and we'll stick
Heading into the bottom mark for the first time. And there's nothing in this. American Magic will round the bottom mark. They'll take the right-hand mark as they see it. And up on the upward leg. And followed straight away by Ineos Britannia.
Straight into attack Ineos Britannia here for sure, and yep, around they go. They'll be really wanting to stay in touch here. The Americans going with them, which is the right thing to do. They'll basically shepherd them across to the right-hand side of the course and make them pay on the way back. They'll be basically looking to hit them on the next tack and actually put them in the dirty air.
Let's go back to Tom Burnham, the coach of American Magic. Coach, thanks for joining us. You comfortable with what you're seeing with your team right now?
Yeah, it's good. They're going great. Really pleased with the execution and how they're sailing the race course right now. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, fantastic, Tom. Glenn Ashby here. How you going? Great to see the boat on the water and going well, mate. You must be happy with the guys. Obviously, fantastic coaching job there to get them where they are. Well done.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, definitely. They're doing a great job today, and really nice to be out here racing after a little bit of a tough day yesterday in practice. But the guys are executing well right now. Thanks, Glenn.
Nice and easy, settle in.
All right, appreciate your time, Tom.
He's going to be
thanks, guys.
Approaching boundary. It's been very
Didn't give too much away, did he?
One of the nicest guys in the coaching world, along with a few of the other coaches. They're all top guys and do a fantastic job. An integral part of the program going forwards, and absolutely needing good coaching staff for good performance, without a doubt.
We hinted yesterday they had we were practicing racing and took a massive nosedive. Everything wet, some of the systems not great. I'm sure it would have been a big night for the support team, just checking everything. So a massive delight today for the whole team. Dr. Voss, also one of their founders here. So yeah, huge sigh of relief.
My button. Stand by. 2, 1, go forward.
So you can see on live wind field brought to you by Cap Gemini. The simple thing to understand here when it comes to wind in this live wind field, green is good. That's where all the pressure is. Blue, stay away from pretty much.
Yeah, no, green is definitely good, and as you see American Magic there, just sailing into a little bit more pressure there. You should see the boat speed going up a little bit there as we are, which means that it's all working as it should. That's what you'd love to see as a sailor, and forcing Ineos Britannia basically to tack away there back to the left. So great job from the American Magic team there, spotting a bit of pressure, early tack back, and they're certainly in a commanding position now as we head towards the top end of the course.
And have done well to gain. We're now at 200 meters separation. In part, as you say, is sort of sailing in bad air, not being able to tack when they want. And we'll see at the end whether that is also a speed difference between the two boats.
They call this design of American Magic, they quote it as a minimalist design. And the one thing they talked about is having recumbent cyclists sitting down.
Just having a little look at the ghost boat here of potentially where they could go from here to actually make any gains. Just sort of seeing where Ineos Britannia could potentially get closer or around American Magic, and the ghost boat's basically saying that heading over to that bit of pressure is the way to go. So it's looking like that there's not many options here for Ineos Britannia apart from staying in touch and continuing to sail their boat absolutely as best as they can.
Although, as you always say, you're one slightly dodgy manoeuvre away from it all falling apart.
Just quickly back to the recumbent cyclists. What do you make of that? Everybody else has got cyclists sitting down like a cyclist.
Yeah, look, everyone chooses a different design philosophy, and the minimalist design, that's exactly what they've gone for.
Hey, stand by. 15 seconds to move.
American Magic with Paul Goodison and Tom Sinsby on helm will hit the top mark and hit the halfway point of this third race of the Louis Vuitton Regatta, and they will just across, sweep around that left-hand mark.
That is an absolute terrible manoeuvre from American Magic there. They look like they basically got the Traveller pinned out without having enough hydraulic resource to get it back on. So,
well, let's see how Ineos Britannia doesn't give us your read on this one. That was riding a wild Bronco. This one.
Let's have a look here. Really smooth and clinical mark rounding there from Ineos Britannia. Both the jib and the mainsail. Travellers there in unison. Lovely powering up with the sail plane there. That was a clinical manoeuvre.
Let's see, look at this rounding by American Magic.
Just watch the Traveller really pinned out wide there, bang, maxed out ease. You hear the dig, 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 dig. That's basically a hydraulic request to try and get that Traveller back in. So just having a look at the foils here, you watch the boat go round. You see a little immersion of the foil and windward here. And as that Traveller pinned out, that's basically trying to force the boat over the handlebars.
When he says dig, 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 he's talking to the cyclors. He just needs more, if they have any more.
They need to raise the pressure in the system to actually get that Traveller to move when it's highly loaded.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward gates, lengthening the course to 1.95 nautical miles.
So a little pressure increase there, just Mel and Ian Murray, race directors just extending the course out, so that's a good sign. We've got more breeze coming.
We might not see the cyclors in the American team, but they are absolutely crucial. They're actually facing backwards, as Stephen said, they're on recumbent bikes, completely hidden away. But it's such a crucial role, you know, to supply the energy to trim the sails whenever you need it.
Must have come from a rowing background. Enjoy going backwards, but doesn't sound like a nice position to be.
If we can just see their heads.
You can hear them working hard there. Hear the drivetrain of the yacht there.
Okay, fellas, we've got 40 seconds this way for a right
Those
turn.
pumps absolutely getting a flogging at the moment. Those guys will be pushing super, super hard. They'll be trying to sail the boat as efficient as they can. The better you do as a trimmer and a helmsman, the more efficient you are for the guys cycling. So you want to do a good job of that.
Straight in left.
Hey, Trav. Yeah, he may not make that.
Okay, copy.
I heard Tom Slingsby talking about the ley line, the touch and go, whether they're going to make the ley line for those bottom marks. Hoping for a bit more breeze.
Really, really nice shot of American Magic coming down there, sailing the boat beautifully. The team.
American Magic about to complete leg number 4. They're in a solid position against Ineos Britannia. Let's see what this rounding is any better than the last one, when they put both boards down this time to just ease themselves around that. And they're back up on their penultimate leg of race number 3 of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta.
Stand by. Foot down here.
Massive lead now to American Magic over the British, so a bit of work to do. There's the British little coast there. They're a little shy on ley line, so that's going to hurt even more as they've washed off a bit of extra speed going around there. So another little deficit to make up if they can.
Come on up. They have tacked up above us. Yeah, copy.
A huge loss for Ben Ainsley and his team on that run. I mean, I don't know if that was slightly speed or pressure or positioning.
Keep going straight if you can. Yeah.
Let's go to chase 0, Peter Lester on the water. American Magic look a different boat than we saw yesterday. They look quick.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I think just what she's... Her drag coefficient, I think, must be quite low. The boat has lower top sides, and it looks pretty slippery in these conditions. And coupled with that, when the boats were close together, I just thought American Magic had a little bit more height, and that was impressive off the start line. And they've picked 2 beautiful ley lines at the top of leg 2 and leg 4. So the American Magic have put together a very impressive race here against Ineos.
Speaking of Ineos, let's go across to the chase boat, and that's Rob Wilson. And Rob, thanks for joining us, mate. What do you make of your race to this point?
You know, I think they did a good job on the pre-start. That was good to see. When we got up on the top right of the course on that first leg, we actually were forced to tack back, you know, just with the boundary. The Americans did a real nice job of the mapping, and they just made the best of that right shift at the top of the course, and that gave them the gain. And we've been kind of trying to just get out of phase to get back with them.
Rob, it looked like Ineos Britannia made quite a loss on that last downwind. What do you think that was?
I think, like, you know, we're going to have a look at the data, but generally, you know, the speed has been decent downwind, so we're quite happy with that, and the manoeuvring's pretty decent. You know, the Americans certainly had more of the right side, and we had a bad shift so I just wait for Ben to finish. And then we had a shift go against us at the end, just as we're coming in on that long port. We had a 10-degree lefty, which cost us quite a bit with the leverage.
Rob, just very quickly, first race for your new driver, Dylan Fletcher. How's he doing?
He's doing super well. You know, we're lucky enough to have three amazing helms of this team with Giles, Ben and Dylan. You know, they're all super close, and yeah, he's absolutely loving it.
Thank you for your time, Rob. Appreciate it. I'll let you get back to the race. We're on the penultimate leg, leg 5 of race 3 of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta off the coast of Barcelona. We're on the Mediterranean, and it's an American Magic leading Ineos Britannia.
We should take a split at the top. They've got a big call. Very nice, good speed now.
Fantastic shot there of American Magic heading upwind, really doing a good job of keeping, you know, that centre part of the hull close to the water surface. That bustle, if you like, and skeg basically creates a sort of an air curtain down to the water, so effectively sealing the sails through the boat into the water for maximum efficiency. The boys doing a great job there of keeping that gap nice and close.
The hull is essentially smaller, the top sides are smaller, hence the recumbrant cyclist just keeping everything really tight.
Gotta love the aero game in 2024 at the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup, which is the big show. It's a long way off, and this is the preliminary regatta. American Magic around the top mark for the final time in race number 3.
A nicer mark rounding that time than the one previously, so they will be shot out of the cannon going downwind here. 46.4 knots, 88 kilometres an hour in the bearaway there, so definitely not tied to the dock. The American Magic boys at the moment.
Ineos Britannia now coming into the top mark for their final time. And as you heard Rob Wilson, their coach, say, didn't give too much away, was pretty honest about what was going on. There'll be a long debrief about this as they round the mark and head downwind for the final time. 31 seconds the gap.
49 knot bear away there for the British. They're off downwind as well. Just a couple of wobbly shifts early in the race, Shirley, and I think that's just, you don't need much when you get some leverage on your opponent when the wind does shift, and it is quite shifty here, as we can see. It's you know, really, really interesting having a look at some options here, you know, for the British as they go forwards with the Ghost boat. With the wind field that we've got at the moment, the Ghost boat not offering up too many options for the Brits to make up ground against American Magic. But you can see there the puffs and the lulls down the course, and I think through that early part of the race, you know, just a couple of those going against the British, and now we're seeing a little gap as we come down towards the bottom end of the course.
Glenn, I mean, they're doing 45, nearly 50 knots into these manoeuvres and making it look pretty easy. How on the edge is it? How difficult?
Yeah, the guys are making the boats look really easy to sail. You know, they're not. You know, they're extremely difficult to sail. They're right on edge. You can see how much the foils are moving around. You can see the waves. You can see the boat moving around the foil arm. Every little movement, you are getting shaken around. You're feeling the boat through your body, and that's what we can't really pick up on the cameras. But on board, you are feeling every little bump and shift, and that's what you're using to not only with your numbers, but you're using that for the feeling of getting the boat around the track in good shape.
Going forward. And turning.
Put up.
Really, really critical comms there from the American Magic team. Just saying how nice the boat's feeling, and you know they're just locked in and sailing well. Tommy's just saying to the boys, one and in from here, we'll just keep it nice and simple, and they're just locked in and sailing the boat fast. So they've got a good gain now of 500 metres, and they're just going to keep chipping away to get down to the bottom.
Want to do a race round in here? Or? Yeah, let's do it. Yep, right turn? Yeah, right turn, 20 seconds.
Considering what happened yesterday, that we were fortunate to see you weren't wherever you are around the world, and a big nosedive by American Magic. They have come out, guns are blazing. A huge psychological blow too, you might say, to the old enemy in Ineos Britannia, but American Magic will take the win in race number 3 of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta and score that all-important 1 point.
Nice work, guys. Great job. And nice race.
Push her down, boys. Nice work. Nice work back there in first class. Big Ben, baby. Big Ben.
Happy birthday, Groomie. Happy birthday, John Groom. Yeah, buddy.
And in comes Ineos Britannia. It's a hard thing to suggest. You race your guts out in a preliminary regatta and you come up with the big donut. No points. But that's what this is all about. This is all about testing yourselves against the best who you'll face when we get to the Challenger Selection Series.
Nice work, guys. What was that phone? Oh, break there? Van. Bobby. Let's stop each other. That's not, that might have been the car. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Let's just hold it.
Terry Hutchinson, remember him from Auckland in 2021 and that terrible day for Patriot when they dumped Patriot sadly, and they really never got back because they had a fast boat then.
It was such a good start, wasn't it? So close. American Magic slightly early, they had to slow, but did such a good job at accelerating. We thought we were in for a real tussle here.
Yeah, leg 3 there. This was really the sort of key moment of the race. American Magic, they're sailing over into that better pressure, better shift, got the right-hand shift, and as we heard Rob Wilson say, you know, that's really the key moment of the race where they were 10 degrees out of phase.
This was a tough moment for American Magic. Just all a bit out of whack, crashed down, but did well to recover. They didn't let it affect their race and extended the lead to take the win.
So happy days for Tom Slingsby and the crew of American Magic. Tom, thanks for giving us your time after what happened yesterday. That's a day you can just smile about.
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Happy days, mate, after yesterday.
Yeah, no, yesterday wasn't our finest hour, obviously. Had a bit of a crash down, a few sore heads, but yeah, great way to bounce back. The team sailed amazingly today.
Nice work, Slingsby. It's Glenn here. Got some nice photos of you guys yesterday, mate. Thanks for giving us something to talk about. I'm sure everyone will be a lot happier today getting the boat back without the spar jets turned on.
Yeah, g'day, Lenny. The shore team did an amazing job overnight. Obviously, yeah, you crashed down at 43 knots. And that much water going over the deck, there's a lot of damage. And so the team did an amazing job just checking over everything.
Just congratulate first class at the back, the cyclors. I mean, how big a day has it been for them?
Yeah, our cyclors get full lay down beds back there. Full-lay-down beds back there. So they, yeah, it's definitely first class. But yeah, it's very tough what they do. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of papers on they might produce less power being recumbent, but I don't see it. These guys put in so hard, and the amount of power they're able to do, it's unbelievable.
Appreciate your time, Tom. Go and enjoy that one. There's a long way to go.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Let's go on aboard Ineos Britannia. Ben Ainsley is waiting for us. Ben, challenging day. What do you make of your opposition and how your crew went today?
Yeah, they sailed a great race. You know, they definitely had the legs on us for pace. You know, we had a nice start. We had the first cross, but they managed to sail around us. So, yeah, it's tough for us.
Ben, you know, how good is it to get racing? It's been a long time waiting for this moment. And also, perhaps just a word of your partnership with Dylan, first time in anger.
Yeah, great conditions out here. I mean, just perfect. You couldn't ask for anything better. And again, Barcelona have done a great job hosting us. And yeah, great sailing with Dylan. He's a class act, great communicator. You know, we sailed a reasonable race. You know, we got that first cross, but just lacking a bit of horsepower. So got to get the boat back to the shed, think about what horsepower. So got to get the boat back to the shed, think about what we're doing wrong, how we can get some more pace.
All right, appreciate your time, buddy. We'll see you on the water tomorrow.
A key moment here of the race. Really, I think that big traveller ease as we watch the boat pin out and the rig just trying to throw the bow down, and that could have easily been a lot worse than it was. You see these moments, they can go either way, and you heard the urgency on board there, Shirley, of what that could have been like.
Yeah, they did well. Yeah, they did well to save it.
Alrighty, second deficit, and basically the maximum speed there just under 50 knots for both boats in only sort of 12 to 14 knots of breeze.
Yeah, well, GBR did more tacks. I mean, the Americans did well just to keep control of them, and yeah, they had very little option. And we heard from Ben Ainsley, not happy with his pace or the decision making.
And they were last to join the ACC37 party, and they were late to by no means newcomers to the America's Cup. In fact, they've been campaigning longer and harder than any other challenger. Their quest for the Cup actually began more than 50 years ago.
France is a very lucky country for sailing, and France has this particular place which is much more dedicated to offshore single-handed sailing.
People will tell you that Vendée Globe is the biggest one because that's the big adventure. But the fact that you're presenting your country with the America's Cup, that's ring a bell to people, so it's quite big.
France has been one of the big nations since the 70s and the Baron-Bic. And it was a pure business decision. He wanted to sell his pens on the US market. The America's Cup for sure is a family story. My father created K Yachting, and in 2001 I decided to go for the big one, the America's Cup. I didn't calculate anything, I was just driven by passion.
We did the Cup together in 2007 with Arriva in Valencia, and we've been sailing together for a long, long time.
In 2007 we had a private owner who was ready to go for it. On the 30th of June, we had 60 million euros, and by the 11th of July, I will never forget because it's my birthday, we lost everything, and yeah, the whole thing collapsed. And I decided to leave for the vineyards, and I didn't really thought about coming back.
Emirates Team New Zealand do it again in a new class of boat.
And in 2021, when I watched the racing, I said to myself, I think France can do it.
So suddenly he told me, look, I would like to go back, but I would like to go back and prepare something for the future. That's what we're trying to achieve.
I mean, Stefan Kondler put a huge amount of energy in this Cup dream. And he said, like, this is my dream. I just want to win the Cup. For the French team, it means a lot to come back in the America's Cup. I think this one is special. You will always say that when you are part of a team cup, but truly this one is really special.
What is interesting in the America's Cup, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of things that you can do or dream about. So that's what we are here to, and we're pushing for the same objective.
and we've got nearly everything to achieve that. So we just have to believe more and more every day.
France has never been beyond the semi-finals of the Louis Vuitton Cup. So reaching the final of the Louis Vuitton Cup would in some ways be already a big achievement. But I think once you are in the final of the Louis Vuitton Cup, you are just one step away from the America's Cup, so why don't dream big?
Final race of the day, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing.
The team's 6th cup and the challenger for the 36th. Luna Prada Pirelli are well aware of just how exceptional they need to be to win. The consummate performer under pressure, Jimmy Spittle, is back for his 8th cup and is partnered again with Francesco Bruni. Leading the performance team is trimmers Molinares and Tezza, and they have a monumental pedal power in Voltanore, Camboni, Liuzzu and Simeo.
The Orient Express Racing team backing up from race 1 today, doing the final race of the day. And the team coming forwards led by Quentin Delapierre, Kevin Pepinay on the handlebars, Matteo Van Dam and Jason Saunders trimming the boat again, but we've had a cyclor change now with Oliver Herdelon, Francois Purvis, Germain Chardin and Maxime Goyon now powering the yacht for the French team in this race.
So here we go. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli had to retire from their race, and race number 2 didn't even make the first leg. Systems failure. They'll want plenty out of this one, and they will have board entry at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. You can see them coming from the left-hand side of your screen, and in 2 minutes it will be Orient Express Racing. We're beaten in race number 1 by Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
Nice entry there, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli just a couple of seconds off. The French looking much more on time than they were in the last start, which will be great to see them battling it out against the best in the business, arguably, alongside possibly Emirates Team New Zealand from the last America's Cup in this pre-start dance. Oh, and French off the foil there. That's not what they need. They've slowed down too much.
Entry penalty France, get behind penalty, entry penalty France.
We saw on the wind field them sailing into a big amount of pressure there with the Capgemini wind field there, trying to slow the boat down, pulling the handbrake on, and they've pulled it on too hard and actually slowed the boat down too much. They've got to rebuild here. They're going to have to take off, and they'll really be on the back foot here in this pre-start. They've got to get the boat taken off and get it on the foils.
1 minute 15 to go. Can they get back up on the foils from what you were saying?
Enough pressure to get back up on the foil, surely, as we go forwards here, and this will really open the door. I mean, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli basically doing their own time on distance from here.
Well, we can see the speed is coming, so good news for France. And yeah, Luna Rossa, beautiful. Both these teams, difficult first races. I mean, really looking for something solid here.
Obviously, the Italian team, looking to get round the racetrack after a reliability issue in the first race, which have obviously got sorted out now. But the French really over in Coffin Corner there. I mean, they're very, very vulnerable here, coming back on port tack. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, just be looking at their own time on distance. I think they'll be looking at where the French are.
Boundary penalty France, that's 2 penalties.
And really not a good day for Orient Express Racing at the moment, with a couple of unforced errors there as they get to grips with sailing these AC75 class yachts in racing anger.
So let's look at Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Looks like time on distance is going to be an absolute peach in the final race of the day. They're sailing against themselves at the moment, but most importantly, they'll want to be able to complete the full 6 legs.
France to restart.
So basically, the French there over the horse side of the line early there when the gun went. So the restart from Richard Slater there, which is exactly what the French
penalty clears. Penalty's clear.
Cleared their start line, and now they're off. But Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli will just be boosting it over the left-hand side of the course there, Shirley.
The French were nearly a a whole boat length over the entry line there. I mean, is that software errors, or just getting to grips with it, or just, you know, just a mistake?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You'd hope that it's a software issue, but I'm not sure there. We'll have to wait and hear from possibly Terry Delar from the coach boat at some point during the race. But watching Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli here, they are really sailing well.
On to chase zero, Peter Lester, did you get a first-hand view of what was going on with the French?
Well, yeah, coming in, they did fall into a light spot and they just fell off the foils, and then it just takes them such a hard speed build, you know, when you're trying to get down below the line. And really then from there on, it's all just back foot stuff. But with time, you'd think they'd rectify those pre-start. You haven't got a lot of time in terms of only 2 minutes, and if you do make a handling error, it's so costly. But Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli really just dominated. They went out to that windward side, they waited their chance, and now they are gone. And look, it's
the race of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta for day number 1. And Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli will want to put on a good, strong showing here, and want the boat to be just feeling right after that huge systems failure that cost them in race number 2 against Emirates.
Yeah, look, absolutely. You know, reliability is key, as it is in a lot of high-tech sports, and you know, there's a huge wealth of experience and knowledge within Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, and they will absolutely be all over that side of things. And fantastic to see the boat really dialed in here and sailing well. Be really interesting, Shirley, to see whether the French can sort of stay in touch with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. It'll give us a good indication on how the boat performance is relative to Luna Rossa if they can hang in there.
These races are all about learning, and if, as you say, if they can just kind of stay in touch, they'll get a feel for pace, they'll get a good look at the other boats' maneuvers. It's just so important to learn. I mean, you're working with the French, you're coaching them. What's your advice?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting one. I mean, it's obviously when you've got another boat that you're racing, it does elevate the pressure onto the team, and these guys haven't had a lot of time sailing this boat compared to a lot of the other teams. But if they can get off the start line cleanly and they can do the simple things well, I think they'll get around the racetrack really well. So it's just a matter of executing cleanly, and I think they'll be in the mix for sure.
Il arrive déjà une bouée de gauche. Allez, dans 20. Allez, là, remonte un poil de la cuve. Il pousse over les lines, franchement. Oui. Avec le petit tac maintenant. Line dans 6.
Orient Express Racing there, learning curve is a seat one. That's a second poor start they've made, to be honest, and it has cost them. But I'll repeat again what we've said before. We had a chance to see them in practice racing the last couple of days, and once they get going, it's a quick boat. This is about fast boats. It is a quick boat.
Yeah, they're a quick boat and they're a talented bunch. I mean, they are. You've been working with them. They're sort of inhaling knowledge, aren't they, the whole time? And you know, I've high hopes that they're just going to get better and better at rapid pace.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli around the top mark for the first time.
That catch.
Now that's, I was about to say, that's pretty tiny.
On Traveller, and just so you know.
Wasn't their best one. You heard Jimmy Espinel say that he was blocked out on the Traveller, so he's obviously getting to a pressure relief setting there on the Traveller, so that's interesting to hear on the comms.
And Orient Express Racing go around the left-hand mark, as you can see it on your screen, whatever size of screen you may be watching on. And
yeah, that's a nice rounding from the guys there. They're you know, they've got round there pretty cleanly, and you know, sailing downwind pretty well here. So if they can lock in, keep sailing the boat cleanly, that's the most important thing for these guys to do at the moment, is just get the boat round the course cleanly, because the package we're all hoping is going to be pretty good and get them in the mix for sure. Having a look at the wind field here, you can see Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in more breeze than where the French are, and you can see the boat speed 44.7 knots versus 42, largely due to the extra wind that they're sailing in at the moment.
Well, 50 knots is the magic number, isn't it, for the foils? That's when you start to really worry about cavitation. Just can see a little bit of bubbling right there from Luna Rossa.
Boats are so efficient now. Pete, just going to you onto the water. Can you see the puffs and the lulls there, Pete, from Chase Zero on the water there as they're coming across from where you are?
Yeah, just looking at wind on the water, I'm looking down the track now, and certainly there are some lulls, and that shows up as just a lighter colour on the water. Both boats, for me now, are heading into more pressure as they head over to the right-hand side. There's certainly nothing wrong with Orient's downward pace. A fast boat, they've just got to figure out, you know, getting that detail, the crewing, and especially getting off the line. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, they're on fire, and it's great to see that they're not having any of those electrical issues they had against Emirates Team New Zealand earlier today.
It's a very long lay line to pick, so...
Just having a look at the Luna Rossa cyclors there. Are we looking at their screens down below? They'll be watching the pressures, watching the course boundaries. They know exactly where they are on the course, even though they haven't got their heads up. So, very well practiced team.
I could ask a question about the cyclors. You mentioned something to us yesterday. We were chatting about them. About it's like trying to cycle through a swamp.
It basically is, yeah. These guys definitely, as we saw before with the Emirates Team New Zealand cyclors, these guys are pretty happy putting themselves in the hurt locker. And if you can imagine riding a race bike through a swamp, that's pretty much what it's like powering a hydraulic pump. It's really, really difficult to push that oil around the boat. And as all the loads are changing on the boat, all the sail functions are changing on the boat, the pressures are going up and down. You're using high flow, high pressure, low pressure. The guys have to change gears, and the system on the boat has to change to account for the load changes.
Looking at your pins, I would suspect you were never wanting to be a cyclor.
Definitely a trimmer in my world, that's for sure, Stephen.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, the silver bullet heading towards the bottom mark for the first time. You can see they're going to take that right-hand mark, as you said, and around they go. Both boards are down.
190.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward marks, shortening to the course to 1.85 nautical miles.
And in comes Orient Express Racing. The gap at the top mark was 20 seconds. The gap at the bottom mark, 21, but they've rounded ahead upwind on leg number 3 in this 4th race of the day. The final one for the day in the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta here at Barcelona.
You can hear the voice of Timothy Lepau there talking to the rest of the cycling team, and they're pushing really hard. The French boys, they really need to execute this next manoeuvre well. Looking at the optional route there, or optimal route I should say, to the top mark, and not a huge amount on offer there from the simulator for the French to get back into this race, unfortunately.
It always looks good in that bottom right-hand corner, though, doesn't it? I wonder if that's, you know, effect off the beach, or, well, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Over time, I think it'll play out, but some absolutely sensational shots there of Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, ripping up wing. You see how fast that leeward foil is going through the water. You look at the sea state, and then you look at how steady the boat is going through the water.
Massive amount of design decisions to get to this. I mean, normally foiling boats are in flat water. I mean, this has been a huge intellectual exercise, and also for the sailors then how to make the machine work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, obviously foil design, extremely critical, as that is really the only part of the boat that's in the water at the moment. The hulls these days are sort of designed around hydrodynamics, but also around aerodynamics. You know, aerodynamically, they just have to connect the rig to the water so well.
The foils are longer than we saw in New Zealand, but small.
They are super small in area. If you actually look at the foils in real life, you think, how the hell can that carry a 7-ton yacht out of the water at those sort of speeds? They really are an engineering masterpiece, and something that, you know, not many people get to see, but here we are looking at the thing, you know, in real life as it's going through the water. It's really nice.
That's like lifting a truck out the water.
It is, on something that's around about 200 millimetres wide, so it's pretty impressive. It's It's pretty good.
Let's go to Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli's chase boat. Philippe Presti, the coach, is joining us now. The Silver Bullet looks good today after the systems failure earlier. Now she's flying prettily.
Yeah, she's flying high, hopefully all the way to the race. We had a kind of issue in the first race, very disappointing because it was a tough race and it was very close. So anyway, the boys did a good job to repair all the malfunction, and we're back on track.
Hi, Philippe. It's Glenn here, mate. How are you?
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, mate. Can you fill us in on exactly what happened with the shutdown? I heard the boys say we've lost the boat. We've lost the boat. Can you give us any insight into what actually happened there?
I don't have the competence. It was something electronic that malfunctioned and just stopped every function of the boat, so we couldn't turn the mast or move any appendages. So it was kind of scary. And after we tried to connect to the boat, but during the race, all the communication are shut. We saw that there was an issue, and we want to connect to the boat, but it took a little bit of time to stop the boat and to go on board and to fix it. But yeah, nothing major. This boat, as you said, are super complex, are crazy engineering, but they're also pretty fragile and still a lot to do to have them fully bulletproof.
All right, grazie, Philippe. Appreciate the time. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Welcome. Ciao.
Ciao, Leah. And Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli fires herself around the right-hand mark as they see it on the water. You just again realise when you see these boats go around these marks how difficult that manoeuvre is, as easy as it looks from where we sit.
Yeah, it's a real balance getting the boat around the mark. It's probably one of the most difficult manoeuvres. The top and the bottom, the hairpin turns, the big change of angle is really, really difficult.
Orient Express Racing coming around now to complete the halfway mark of this final race of the day. Nice and clean. Okay, happy with that.
Little heeled there at times, but they've got it under control. The cyclors there will be on the rev limiter at this point in the race. Doing a great job there, getting the boat round. The French will be just hoping to stay in touch here and not lose any more ground to the Italians. Sailing the boat nice and clean is really what the day is all about for the French team.
So France touched down, they went into the jibe, they looked all right, but then they flew quite high and they touched down. So again, it's just those control issues that are limiting the French. I think speed-wise, the boat looks fine, but that manoeuvre, the mark rounding looked good. It was that first jibe that was costly. That will be valuable seconds lost.
It's just another indication of where they're probably at in racing this AC75, but they are still determined to prove that they are strong and they can be strong. We know it's got a fast boat, but just again of what went wrong here.
Yeah, it looked like the dagger board actually went back down. The one that they were getting out of the water looked like it started going back down, and definitely a rudder ventilation. You could see the puff of water come off the rudder, and that was a big vent. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there as they were exiting the jibe, so hopefully we'll get an opportunity to find out what happened later on.
Lots of gremlins on board the French boat, don't you think, today? They're sailing fast, but just coming unstuck.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. I've got to say, when you look at this boat and how even it is to the surface, that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, the pitch stability, if you like, of the yachts is really, really key to maximum performance. And you can just see how well Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, the flight controllers, are doing on keeping that pitch stable. And that pitch is basically all derived around the rudder elevator. It's how accurately you can control that rudder elevator. The rudder moves together to control that elevator. Doing a good job of that is very, very good for performance.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli have certainly lengthened their lead on Orient Express Racing Team in this fourth race as they head down to the bottom gate for the, well, let's just say before the finish. Two more legs to go, and they round that comfortably. Yeah, just a bit of a...
Not the best movement there from the Rossa Pranapelli. I'm being critical there, but they actually did get a little bit of a sideways slide going on there, so you can see the exit of that tack really slow. They should have been exiting that tack probably about 6 or 8 knots faster than they did there, dropping down to about 26 knots. They should have been well over 30 knots bottom speed in that tack, so it might be a critical eye from my point, but you know, they're sailing the boat nicely, so I'm trying to pick anything that I can see to rip them one. But no, look, they're sailing well, but that was just a little bit high, a little bit slidey, and on the edge of grip, which, you know, they're obviously pushing the boat hard.
We talk about, you know, one of the strengths of the defenders being retention of people, you know, holding on to that IP, but actually Luna Rossa have the same model. You know, the same sailors are back, the same designers, and wow, we're seeing the results of that.
And they've also produced a new word, slidey. A bit slidey.
A bit slidey.
A bit slidey. Here's hoping that Orient Express Racing aren't a bit slidey around the bottom mark to head up win for the last time.
It's a bit like your rental car driving, I think, isn't it, Stephen? A little bit slidey at times.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are looking at boats that remind us of Formula One races with their design and their speed and their movement and the talk about it, so I'll take it.
Old sideways Stephen.
Orient Express, I mean, they bought the design package from the Kiwis, from Emirates Team New Zealand. I mean, what does that actually mean? You know, what do they get for that?
Yeah, obviously the French, you know, basically don't have a design team. So I think we're actually just about to hear from Mel from Race Committee, so I'll just lay out for a second.
This is the race committee. We are moving the finish marks. Course length is now 1.75 nautical miles.
So Melanie Roberts there, little course change, just keeping everything square and in line, but getting back to the design package, yeah, effectively the French, you know, don't have a big design team, in fact a very small one, so they've actually, to get on the table and even make it to the start line in this America's Cup, the only option for them was really to buy a design package off a team, and hopefully the design package that they've bought is a good one. I think what we're seeing is some great performance when they get the thing pointed in a straight line and are sailing the boat well, and obviously a huge amount to learn, not just in the sailing of the boat, but in the systems and actually almost the reverse engineering of how the design has actually come about. So, you know, big job for the team, and fantastic to see them on the water, and they will just be getting better and better, and they'll be learning every single minute that they're sailing here out on the waters of Barcelona.
Fais un peu au board-up, Matt.
Ouais, sur celui-là, oui.
See the wind field there, Shirley, not a huge amount happening at the moment. Looks like a fairly steady breeze. When we're not seeing those big colour changes on the course, that's an indication that the wind isn't really doing a whole lot. So it's a fairly steady, smooth breeze this afternoon.
It's very calm on board Luna Rossa, isn't it? We think back to New Zealand. This was the team that invented the dual helm, Francesco Bruni and, of course, Jimmy Spittle. So they're well practiced, aren't they, in communication. That's not easy. You're learning how to paint the picture for the other helm, to trust the other helm, and to share the decision-making. It's not easy.
No, definitely not easy, and I think all the teams, that relationship between both sides of the yacht, you know, not just from a steering perspective, but from a trimming, foil trimming perspective, you know, it is a very, very, you know, practice choreograph boat. You know, you have to be very, very good on both sides of the yacht to get around the track in good shape.
In a funny old way, it does make me wonder, maybe that's why American Magic went for the side-by-sides, so they can look at each other, eye contact, all that sort of thing. The little things, the details, because detail is everything in the America's Cup, as Luna Rossa Pirelli round the top mark for the final time.
Coming down. Catch.
No sign of sliding, Glenn?
No slidey there, Stephen. That was a very, very railed turn, as you'd say, and you know, really nice turn there. You can see the stern sinking there as they go around, making sure they got plenty of grip on that rudder. Also, basically allowing the boat to go a little bit bow up means that the flap of the foil can go up a little bit as well, which is actually good for reducing the cavitation on the foils.
You'd have to say one thing we have been treated to today on the opening day of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta: wind and plenty of it, but also challenging sea set, which we've been talking about.
Yeah, these boats just make bumpy water look smooth. It is not smooth. You go out there on any other boat than one of these, and you'd be getting your teeth rattled out at the sort of speeds that they're doing. So, really great performance with these boats now, compared to previous being about 700 kilograms lighter than the version 2 boats. So the light air performance absolutely incredible for these boats now.
Orient Express Racing, they will round the top mark for the final time. Tough old day. Starts have really hurt them, and amongst other things, but the start is a critical part of this whole AC75 regatta. We've said it before, we've seen it a couple of days ago. We know they've got a fast boat, but it's the detail, the little things that are costing Orient Express right now, but they will get better.
It's quite hard to practice the starts. So, I mean, you can set up your own start line, but then you don't have all the information from the race control, and it's just kind of different. They're really sort of learning from the get-go here.
You can hear the cyclors there, really pushing hard. Yeah, big job. Hats off to the cyclors of all the teams. It is a monumental effort powering a boat of this size just with 4 humans. It's a great effort.
It makes for, quite selfishly, some beautiful television when you see boats like this coming at you, graceful, knowing that they are some of the fastest big boats in the world now, going around a course for the ultimate prize, eventually. It's a long way off. October 12th, the start of the match. Who will face Emirates Team New Zealand? Will it be the team that faced them last time? Who knows? We're only the preliminary regatta, and Rossa Prada Pirelli in their second race of the day get the points this time and cross the line in race number 4. That solitary point, valuable after their systems failure back in race 2.
Absolutely no emotion shown there by the Rossa Prada Pirelli team, I should say, and just another day at the office for those guys. And you can see there, Philippe, nobody's high-fiving or yahooing. They're just going, righto, we got it around the track, let's get it back in the shed and keep developing as we move forward. So very clinical performance.
It is a learning game, and we actually heard Ben Ainsley start to talk about that. It is, you know, every day just trying to get faster and faster, and if you don't keep that pace of development on, then you're left behind. Did you just talk a little bit about that, Glenn, how important it is to stay ahead?
The development process absolutely just has to carry on right the way through to the end. I mean, you've obviously got to get through the Challenger Series to make it to the America's Cup final, and the development process just has to carry on. And it's such a big job for all the teams to try and preempt what that development process is, and that's the beauty of the America's Cup. It's a design race as much as a sailing race, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. We're seeing fantastic different designs, but we're also seeing some fantastic racing, and the sailing teams do make a difference as well as the design teams, and it's very much a combination to be successful.
And the amount of pressure that each team feels would be enormous, even though we're only at the start. And Orient Express Racing coming in to finish the day. They will end the day 0-2, no points, and lots of debriefing to be done. But we are so happy that they are here. The French have a magnificent history of racing in the America's Cup, and it just makes the difference because 6 boats out going head-to-head, you gotta love it.
No, absolutely for sure, Stephen. And I think, you know, what we'll see with Orient Express Racing is we'll just see a very, very steep improvement as they go forwards. And obviously a big deficit there of 1 minute 33. But I think we will see the team of Orient Express Racing really step up and make some big gains over the coming races. So stand by on that one.
Orient Express too early for entry, tried to slow it down, got in all kinds of trouble off the foils, and from there it was tough, really. Chicken winged up in that pre-start. Really tough day for them. And at the start, well, Luna Rossa clinically executed that. Good practice, Glenn.
Faster restart.
France, another penalty to shake off late to start. Well, by leg 5, the Italian lead was something else, a kilometre ahead, and goodness, sailing smooth and smart.
Clock's down.
A lovely lap for the Italians, and they go home happy with that.
Most importantly, the Italians go home with 1 point in the bag on the opening day of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta. Jimmy Spidler standing by on the Silver Bullet. Jimmy, thanks for joining us. You don't mind us calling it the Silver Bullet, do you?
No, nothing wrong with that.
Rate that race from where you're sitting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty much all over in the start when the French fell off the foils in the entries. But yeah, we worked on a couple of manoeuvres and boys sailed the boat well.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's Glennie here. How you going, mate? The cycling guys obviously doing a pretty good job there at the back of the bus. It probably wasn't the hardest race for them, but can you just tell us sort of how hard they're working for you behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the closer head-to-head races, yeah, they're right at the rev limiter, that's for sure. That one was a little bit easier, but yeah, in these sort of days, it's you really use all that horsepower. You just use anything you can get. So no, they're doing a good job.
Are you happy with where you're at the moment as far as development and where the boat is at?
Yeah, I think the boat's going well. You know, obviously we're disappointed with the first one. We would have loved to have a good little hit out there with our old mates from New Zealand, but from another point, it's great to you know, sort of sort that issue out now when it doesn't count. So yeah, the boat's going well, but we're still a long way off where we need to be and plenty to learn.
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate the time. See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Well, this was the only cross, really, Glenn.
It was, Shirley, and really that was, you know, after that sort of one cross, it was pretty much, you know, just a procession from there, and, you know, the French just sort of racing themselves, as were Luna Rossa really in that race, and it was just about sailing the boat accurately, and we saw that from Luna Rossa as a pretty clinical experience.
So this was what we experienced today. There were 4 winners: Alinghi, Red Bull Racing, Emirates Team New Zealand, American Magic, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. But we saw plenty. That was when Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli's systems went down, race number 2. This was the... this could always be the feel-good story of the day after nosediving yesterday, and American Magic looks strong. And then Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli comes home with the win, and the most important, they get the full point. So here we go. There is Port Vale, which is actually a smaller part of the port of Barcelona, and it has been a cracking day of racing here on the opening day of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta. And just a quick reminder of who's done what today. Well, the green says you've done good, you've got the win, and as you can see, 4 teams showing the single point, but there's more racing to come, so don't worry about that. Every everybody embracing the teams around the port of Barcelona. They've spread out the bases, but they're certainly accessible, and the crowds and the supporters are doing their job. That's Alinghi Red Bull Racing, and they are all good to go. Just a reminder, we're back racing from 2 p.m. local tomorrow. It'll be American Magic against Alinghi Red Bull Racing. What a day of racing, 4 different winners. Let's see you tomorrow for more.